the race lead going towards Eau Rouge, but his lead didn't last for long. His teammate Ludovic Sunier tried this silly manoeuvre to get past Peter Cox, smashed into the side of Goossens. Mark headed straight for the pit lane. They had to change the steering rack, although the car's now retired with a clutch problem. Sunier limped on, but that car also retired with accident damage a bit later. Andrew Cocori had a huge accident in the McLaren. He was tagged off the road going through the hairpin at La Source, the first of the 3 McLarens in the entry, very badly damaged indeed, and the race got no better really for McLaren, the second car retiring with a fire just before 10 p.m. BMW Z4s contrived to drive into each other, but they all survived, whereas Stefan Ortelli tried this move against Thomas Jäger and tapped the former DTM racer into a big spin going up towards Les Combes, and Ortelli got a drive-through penalty for that, whilst Nicolas Meyer-Melnhof destroyed his Lamborghini while coming into the pit lane. He's quoted as saying he's no idea what happened. Well, the outcome is a destroyed car. On track, there was a great battle between Andrea Piccini and Christian Menzel. Menzel put the Porsche, number 888, into the lead, as briefly we lost the number 3 Aston Martin, Julian Rodriguez, slithering off the road, coming out of Les Combes and ending up beached in the gravel. Alain Lee's Audi was another casualty, not his fault. He was biffed into a spin by Kenneth Heyer coming down towards the bus stop, and Eric Cairol's Ferrari badly delayed as he tried to work a way round the stationary Audi ahead of him. Dutch driver David Hart was also in the wars. He had a couple of spins, this the first of them, coming out of the piff-paff. He lost the Z4, spun his way through the gravel, and that halved the width of the road, but thankfully everybody avoided him. Then it was Andrea Piccini running in second place. It was his turn for some contact coming through the bus stop as he was biffed into a spin by the Porsche of Fabio Spiergi. Then a big engine failure for the Peter Cox, Mark Hayek, Jos Menton Lamborghini. That meant that both the Blancpain Reiter entries were out within really the first couple of hours of the race. A distraught Hans Reiter, very angry mechanics, and it's the second Blancpain Endurance Series round in a row where that particular Lamborghini has had engine failure. It was Hayek at the wheel, an instant retirement. Menzel pitted with an alternator problem, and that left number 99 Audi in a comfortable lead as the darkness descended. Mark Bassin, Christopher Hasse and Frank Schnippler, the drivers. Everything on track was going well. The pit stops went like clockwork, and eventually the car built up a lap's lead over the chasing Audi 33. Matthias Ekstrom sharing with Greg Franchi and the start driver Timo Scheider. Scheider had done a good opening stint. Ekstrom brought it into contention, and Greg Franchi, the local hero, the Belgian driver, being able to consolidate its place. Other Audis, though, weren't having such a good run. It was an engine problem it was traced to in the end for Eddie Cheever's car. That retired, taking to the pit exit lane, coming through Eau Rouge. Cheever got on the radio to the team. They tried to work out what to do, but in the end, the American had to just walk away and leave the car stranded. The number 98 Phoenix Run Audi had a problem when Andrea Piccini was at the wheel. Not just a contact, but also second gear broke. They had to drive around the problem, but Piccini, along with Mike Rockenfeller and Marcel Fassler, were all doing a good job, and that car was getting back into contention. It was second as we approached midnight. Off the road went Jack Gerber in the number 50 AF Corsa Ferrari that Matt Griffin, in fact, had led the first hour of the racing. Not the entirety of the hour, but he led at the 1 hour mark. That car then falls down the order as a consequence of Jack Gerber's moment. And another one in problems was the Ferrari of Romain Brandella that spun coming through the Paul Frere curve. There were other cars in dangerous places. That brought out the safety car, and it let United Autosports take Johnny Herbert's Audi into the pit box. The car had a mysterious electrical issue that caused the car to cut out, and they needed to turn off the ignition, restart it, reset everything and get going again. And as Richard Dean quite rightly said, you can't really do that while you're out on the circuit and you're meant to be racing. It's too dangerous. So the car was taken to the pit garage. So also was the David Hart BMW Z4, and that brought out, as I say, the safety car once again. The race director taking the opportunity to clear up a number of cars that were scattered around the circuit, including the 18 Porsche of Gianluca De Lorenzi and Alessandro Benetti. But soon after the safety car withdrew, Mike Hezemans touched a curb coming through the Paul Frere corner, bounced off the barrier, but it broke a steering arm, and that was the end of the Mercedes that had been looking very strong. Another casualty was the 22 Ferrari off the road. Thomas Duchesne clobbered the wall, and that meant that not only did he have a punctured tyre, there was lots of suspension and steering damage and bodywork damage. He pitted and tried to resolve that problem, but the team lost a long time while it was down in the pit lane. So as the teams battled through the night, number 99 was the leading Audi, with the car being driven by Mark Bassin, Christopher Hasse and Frank Schnippler. But as now we've gone to just 6 minutes past 9 in the morning, it's a very different story, because during the early hours of the morning, the number 99 Audi crashed out, and it's not the only car that's been in the wars. There you can see number 6, the Lamborghini, parked out by the side of the circuit. It was the surviving Lamborghini of Ricardo Bravo, Lorenzo Berrio de Vega, Duarte Felix da Costa Mika Välimäki, that's Andrea Barlesi's Lamborghini that retired last night as well. That was a clutch failure that put that car out, not long after it had a routine pit stop in fact, but Barlesi retirement. Also car 11, Eddie Cheever, he retired yesterday evening in the United Autosports Audi, an engine failure given as the reason for its retirement. We lost the McLaren of Tim Mullen with a very spectacular fire, that looking rather forlorn sitting behind the barrier. And with the Collins car we knew had already crashed out, and the surviving McLaren has had many a pit stop as it goes through its development process. And so what this all now means is that this car, 33, Timo Scheider at the wheel, now leads the way. It was a lap adrift from number 99 during the night, but when Christopher Haase crashed very, very seriously, he was okay, but the car certainly out of the race. That took 99 straight out of the equation, and it means that 33, Scheider, Ekstrom and Franchi lead the way. And you've got a Belgian driver in the car. You've also got it run by the Belgian Audi club, so it would be a very popular result if this were to come through as a winner. Matthias Ekstrom, never done the Spa 24 hours before, but he has had, 6 goes at the Nürburgring 24 hours. Timo Scheider, a former winner of this event. In fact, if you go back to 2005, he won with Michael Bartels and Eric van der Poel when they were driving the Maserati MC12. So the Audi through in the lead of the race, and that now puts 381 laps in the book as far as that car is concerned. And it's got 2 laps in hand over the chasing BMW in second spot, run by the Need for Speed Team Schubert operation, with Edward Sandstrom back at the wheel, but in the Audi pit bunker, Wolfgang Ulrich looks on. Been a mixed night, really, with effectively now just one car still competitively placed. There's 98, which had a very lengthy pit stop to sort out a big gearbox problem. It had lost second gear yesterday evening, but then had a very long stop to try and sort out the gearbox problems once and for all, and the car has fallen back into 24th place. We've lost number 99. Now, number 32, the sister car to the leading Audi, had a very long stop yesterday with front suspension problems. Lost about half an hour in the pits. It has recovered to be in 8th place, but is still 13 laps away from the race leader. Car number 3, having been in the gravel yesterday evening, 11th at the moment, and the car being driven at the moment by Pierre Bryce Mena, who is one of the quicker drivers in the Hexis AMR camp, runner-up in the GT3 European Championship a few seasons ago. So there's 98. As I say, it's now way down the order. The car that was leading early on, 24th the car now is, and at the wheel of it at the moment is Andrea Piccini. But second, looking very strong at the moment, is the Edward Sandstrom, Dirk Werner, Claudia Hürtgen BMW Z4. There it is, coming through the bus stop. And this car was at the end of the first hour of the race, way down the order, keeping out of trouble in 21st place. And there it is now, up into second spot. It is, in fact, 1 lap now behind the race leader as it comes across the timing line. That lap may come back to it if the Audi has a problem. And we're just getting a report of another car that's been off the road just briefly. And it's one of the Pro-Am cars, in fact, it's the McLaren number 60. Which has just had a moment, still going after many pit stops, many places and many laps down now, but you're riding with Edward Sandstrom as he heads through Rouge. And the BMW Z4s have been very competitive this weekend. They missed the first round of the Blancpain Endurance Series at Monza, made a big impact at Navarra, and have also been very competitive, winning races, of course, within the FIA GT3 European Championship this year. The Z4 was on pole position for the Marc VDS Racing Team, Maxime Martin's car, but that retired with diff problems yesterday evening. The team content in a sense that it had proved the pace of the car, but frustrated with the retirement. But now the Need for Speed Team Schubert entry going great guns in second place. Edward Sandstrom with Claudia Hürtgen and Dirk Werner, one of the BMW factory drivers. In third place, however, is a car that started from the pit lane. Andrea Bertolini, former winner of the event, Michael Bartels, former winner of the event, Nick Homerson and Louis Machiels, 2 pros, 2 AMs within this car, and every time it's Bartels or Bertolini behind the wheel of the stunning looking for
RT. The 33 car is the one that was running until now without troubles and leading the race now. The 32 car was hitting some troubles but is in the race and is going to catch up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, 32 is the Ortelli Langin Albuquerque car, and it's now Felipe Albuquerque, the Race of Champions winner, behind the wheel of it, with 33, Timo Scheider still being the race leader. There he is, going through Toulon. Timo Scheider, who had a year in the FIA GT Championship when he didn't have a drive in the DTM, and Timo joined another former DTM racer, in fact, Michael Bartels and Eric van der Poel, to win here in 2005 in the Maserati MC12, but then Timo was picked up by Audi, went back into the DTM, initially with a year-old car, then was promoted to the contemporary machinery and a double champion, very quick single-seater racer many years ago. But having been a real star in the German Formula 3 Championship. A bit unlucky in his early DTM days driving for Opel. You can see there Mike Parisi, the French driver, out of the Mercedes, trying to work out what the problem is, what can be done about it, and whether or not he can bring it back to the pit lane. Let's have a look at how we stand in the different classes. The Pro Cup, first of all, being led by the overall race leader. Second is the BMW, currently with Edward Sandstrom at the wheel. Third in the class is Fred Makaviki's Aston Martin. Fourth is the number 35 Stefan Lemeret driven Mercedes. And then fifth and sixth, you've got Matteo Bobbi Ferrari ahead of now Felipe Albuquerque's Audi R8, and you're riding on board with Timo Scheider. Let's have a look at a lap of the fabulous Spa-Francorchamps circuit as he goes now down towards La Source. Traffic ahead, including the Dodge Viper, but the race leader Timo Scheider now accelerates out of La Source, grabs a gear, sets off downhill. Nudging 206 kilometres an hour. The approaches Eau Rouge, climbs uphill now. Speed building to around about 268 kilometres an hour by the time they get up towards Les Combes here. Dives up the inside of the Viper, puts another lap on the Gentleman Trophy class car, now through Les Combes. Through the final element, back onto the power, another back marker, needs negotiating in a moment. And then now down towards the very slow right-hander at Bruxelles, turn 8. Now the car ahead is a Porsche which was leading the race, in fact, yesterday evening. Hans-Guido Riegel is at the wheel of the Haribo Team Manthey entry, the car of Richard Westbrook and Christian Menzel. And he's looking for a way by is Timo Scheider on the inside coming into point. You can see that he's flashing the light. Oh, getting very frustrated now with the gentleman racer. Come on, he says, get out of my way. Porsche moves to one side, but Timo's going to have to be pretty bold on the brakes there. Dives up the inside as he heads into the pith path. Goes now down towards the Paul Frere corner. Through the second element now, speed building all the time on the run up towards Blanchimont. Cars approaching 258 kilometres an hour, going through Blanchimont up towards the bus stop. In the meantime, the car that's in third place now in the pit lane, Andrea Bertolini, has brought the number 2 Vita 4-1 Ferrari into the pit road. And the Italian rather looking a bit staying behind the wheel. The refuelling almost completed. Are they going to change tyres, or can they save time on this pit stop by sending Bertolini back out? They are going to change tyres. Up it goes. Going to be a longer stop as a consequence of all of this, but that car, remember, is 2 laps ahead anyway of the pursuing Aston Martin in the hands of Fred Makaviki. In the Pro-Am Cup, this is the class leading car from number 20, which is the Ferrari currently being driven by Guillaume Moreau. And then third in class is number 90, the British team of David and Godfrey Jones and Mike Jordan. Fourth in the class, number 44, now got Hubert Voss at the wheel of the BMW. Fifth in the class, the Ferrari number 50, Marco Ciocci at the moment. And sixth is Hans-Guido Riegel in the 888 Porsche, the car, as I said, that led early on but lost chunks of time with an alternator problem. And this does not look great news, does it, for Vita 4-1? A look into the engine bay. Mechanics peering in, and ubiquitous laptop computer arrives in case they need to do anything electronic or download data. And Bertolini out of the car. Oh dear, oh dear. Now, there's going to be a driver change. So that was a late decision, but they may as well do that because it looks like the car's going to be here for a long time. It may even, in fact, have to head to the pit box here. Now let's just see how long a stop this is going to be. There is Guillaume Moreau running second in the Pro-Am Cup at the moment. Now he is 6 laps down on Vita 4-1. So in other words, to be fair to Michael Bartel's team, it can afford to take its time and make sure everything is right on this pit stop. It's not like they're fighting for seconds here. They've got a few laps in hand. So Bertolini helping with the driver change, but still mechanics clambering into the engine bay there to try and get to the root of the problem. Bertolini wanders across to Pratt Perch. Has a word with the team. We'll have a look at the timing screens, but he's also trying to explain what the car feels like. I think we need to send Haley in that general direction because this is significantly class-leading Ferrari with a problem. And Andrea Bertolini, who is a very experienced racer as well as test and development driver, explaining what's wrong with the car. Fred Makovic there, going out of Les Combes. Now, this, remember, was 2 laps back on the Ferrari for 3rd place. It is now 1 lap back, so it's certainly possible that while the Ferrari is in the pit lane, possibly be able to keep its class lead, but it could lose an overall position here. And now look, not just got the Vita 4-1 mechanics within this, but also Ferrari technicians as well. But it's not looking terribly promising, is it? The laptop has been plugged in, and the Ferrari engineers trying to understand first of all what the problem may be, then what they can do about it. In the meantime, it's all gone horribly quiet in the cabin. You can see all the cabling plugged into the computer so they can get the data, so they can have a look at what's really going on in the electronics of the car and then understand what it is and how to cure it. But that's a furrowed brow if ever I saw one. It's not looking all that promising at the moment, this is it. So Andrea Bertolini, having brought the car in 3rd place, it may well be that when it does rejoin, it's going to be a few more places down. Can it hang on to its class lead? This, of course, the best placed of the Vita 4-1 entries. And you can see the concern there that you can't have too many people across the yellow line, therefore perceived as working on the car. So another of the regulations in this championship means you can't have lots of people in the pit lane, only 2 at a time working on the car. So the Ferrari technicians doing their work at the moment. Vita 4-1 mechanics have got to stand back. So over the timing line now, also to do 381 laps, goes the number 4 Aston Martin, and as it drives past the Ferrari, then that effectively... Yeah, now it does get tough because they've got to keep out of trouble, but it's at this point where if problems are going to set in, of course, after the rigours of the night, and they're going to rear their heads. So the team will be having a good look at the car, good look at the data as well, to make sure that there's nothing that's just starting to deteriorate on this. Sandstrom there in a bit of correction, going through Pau, the fast downhill double left-hander. But after its lowly grid position, qualifying was something of a lottery depending on which tyres you were on and when you were out on track and whether you got a clear lap right at the very end, as it started to dry right at the end of night qualifying. The grid counting for very little, but what it did give a fair few people, like this team, was a lot of work to wriggle through the traffic. The same, of course, was true in the end of Bertolini and Makovic starting from the pit lane. You're riding with Sandstrom then as he comes up towards Blancpain. Speed building, grabs a gear through the left. And now up towards the bus stop, hard on the brakes in a moment, down through the gears and up towards the completion of lap 393 for BMW number 76. Up through the gears over the timing line, and then now down towards the hairpin at La Source. Team looking as though it might be getting ready for a pit stop, so this may be the last lap that Sandstrom does within this stint. We'll keep an eye to whether he does pit at the end of the lap. Climbs up now through Radion, using all of the curve, all of the available room on the road there, and heads now up towards Les Combes. The car, in terms of its last lap time, in fact the slowest of those within the top 7, but with time in hand and a big gap over the opposition, it's no bad thing. Just run at a good, sensible pace here. The car looking good at the moment in 2nd spot. Car number 10, incidentally, the Ferrari of Olivier Pau, Julien Jousse and Patrice Gouillard, currently in the pit lane, and the team manager of that car just being summoned to the race director, so it may well be a pit infringement that has been committed there. Meantime, you're riding with Sandstrom still. Plunging through Pau. Contrary to how it has been at much of the race, traffic not an issue at all on this lap. Managed to have a pretty clear run through the pit path. Part of the circuit formerly known as Les Fagnes, and now down towards Campus Corner. Then the Paul Frère, named after the great Belgian journalist and racer. fantastic noise that BMW makes. Brutal looking car and increasingly competitive in GT3. It was one of these cars run by a different team, the Mark VDS squad, that was on pole position. But Team Schubert doing a very good job, as Blancpain was saying, and the car having risen its way up the order. It was at the end of the first hour in 21st place, and now running in a very good, solid second spot. Comes over the line now. Up lap 2:27. Timo Scheider still leading the way in Audi number 33. Looking very strong indeed up front at the moment. So there you can see the Porsche at Milner Motorsport, Martin Ritchie's car, 124 that we saw a little while ago. The work is still going on, but of course it's now losing that big advantage. Martin Ritchie see that 35 minutes for the leading Audi, 38 minutes for the second place BMW, 42 minutes, nearly 43 for the third place Ferrari, and you're into the 50s by the time you get to 4th, 5th and 6th. And so, as ever, the least time you spend in the pit lane the better, and it's all looking good for the so far quick and reliable number 33 Audi. So brake issues here need resolving for the Aston Martin. Get the hammer out to try and get the pads and the discs off. Hammering away, and eventually off come the old. They can now go to work. There's the sister car, number 4, with Fred Macco at the wheel, now running in 4th place. Now this time we'll get an idea of a lap time, and a drive-through penalty has just been given to Andrea Bertolini's Ferrari, now with Louis Machiels at the wheel. So the car that's running in 3rd place is about to get a drive-through penalty. So dramas then for Vita 4-1. I'll see it on the screen, and it is Article 96 that they have violated, and that says during any pit stop, whatever the reason, the driver is obliged to turn off his engine. The car's engine may be restarted when the car is in contact with the ground on its complete wheels and is about to rejoin the race. In other words, if the engine was running while other work was being done, that is the infringement, and so a drive-through penalty is heading the way of this car. So Louis Machiels, who was running rapidly, needs to run even more rapidly now because he's got this drive-through to worry about. The leader is in, incidentally. Timo Scheider, number 33, has just come into the pit road, and as he did so, he completed lap number 400. Does Machiels pit this time? No, we're going to stay out for another lap, so the message is on the timing screen. The team will see it. They will hopefully now relay the news to Louis Machiels, and next time around he should come through to serve that drive-through penalty. Goes out of La Source, and the gap that he has got over Fred Makovici is 14 seconds, and Makovici on his first flying lap lapped over 5 seconds quicker anyway, so the gap's coming down between 3rd and 4th, but it's going to change come what may when we get that drive-through penalty being taken. Machiels climbing uphill and coming into this race. Louis, one of the drivers bidding for honours in the Pro-Am Cup, the class having been led after Navarra by Gianluca De Lorenzi, Alessandro Bonetti and Stefano Borgi, at their Porsche out of the race. So they were 4 points up on Nick Thomason, Louis Machiels and Paul van Splunteren, a regular other driver in the car, but he's gone back to Pro Speed Porsches for the weekend, and his car an early casualty when Ludovic Sunier was doing silly things early on in the race. So in terms of points, van Splunteren is going to lose out in this race, with points being scored at 3 opportunities, 6, 12 and 24 hours, and it's all looking very good now for class points for Louis Machiels and for Nick Thomason, aided and abetted really in this race by Bartels and Bertolini. Effectively, you get half the available points at both 6 and 12 hours, and then the full quota at the 24, so 25 points for a class win, but you get 12.5 each at 6 and 12 hours. So Louis Machiels in traffic, but he's going to have to pit this time. Timo Scheider's Audi in the pits, and Dirk Werner from the car Louis Machiels still in 3rd place and still being caught by Fred Makovici. Now, we've had a report from the pit lane confirming what I was just thinking, that they can't get hold of him on the radio. There's a communication problem. That's why the pit board is there, so they're having to do it manually. So at the moment, Machiels is blissfully unaware of this. And that's why, you can see it, 2 drive-through penalty. And there's going to be much arm waving, I think, this time when Louis Machiels comes across the line. Andrea Bertolini getting more and more concerned about this, because you can see that his car potentially is going to fall further and further down the order if there's another penalty, and the team now marching towards race control to say, look, we're doing our best, we're having to do this manually, we've got the board, we've got the neon light, but we just can't get hold of him. So Louis Machiels, blissfully unaware of all of this, coming up now towards Blancpain. Well, unless he saw the board last time, he's going to stay out for another lap, isn't he? But let's see what happens. There's the drive-through penalty board being shown to number 2. The Vita 4-1 engineer virtually hanging it over the barriers now, ready to try and attract the attention of his driver. But is Machiels going to notice it this time? Let's see. He's not pitting, is he? No. Another lap about to be rattled off here. So up towards the line comes Louis Machiels, and much arm waving to say, come in, and more vigorous waving there by Andrea Bertolini. So number, drive through, and the arrows pointing to the pit lane. Has the message got through? It also means they've got something else to worry about at the next pit stop, which is to try and sort out the problem with the radio. Is it a connection that's not been plugged in, or has the whole system gone down? If it's that problem, then that's going to be a bigger issue to resolve. If it's a cable that's not been plugged in properly, that's easier to sort out for the next stint. Machiels thinking, it's all gone quiet here, what's going on? He's still pressing on to good effect, being able to pull away a bit last time, in fact, from Fred Makovici. Goes through Lecombe, and up front it is still, just to recap, 33, Timo Scheider leading the way, Dirk Werner second, so it's Audi from BMW, Ferrari third. Last year's 24 hours looked like it was going to be a BMW victory, and then in the last 45 minutes the leading car went off the road, had a suspension problem, fell to third, and it gave us a Porsche win. The leading Porsche this year is down in 13th place. It's the Westbrook, Menzel, Riegel and Sturzberg car, run by Team Manthey, so it's not going to be a repeat victory for Porsche, that's for sure. There's Louis Machiels, still pressing on. Hopefully, though, he's got the message this time. All the arm waving that was going on from the team and from co-driver Andrea Bertolini. Hopefully that would have been enough to attract his attention. Coming up towards the end of the lap now, that this radio problem is the reason that he doesn't know about the penalty. They've no doubt been shouting at him, but it's one-way traffic. Not being able to get the message for whatever reason. Through Blancpain he comes, and the team now hoping that he's going to be in this time to serve the drive-through. And the answer is he still hasn't seen the board. So he comes up over the line, and I'm looking down on the Vitaphone pit box, and there are 3 people now leaning over the wall and waving at him. There's a neon light that says drive-through, there's a board that says in, there it is. And the team getting ever more concerned about this, but the race officials are also doing their bit from the gantry coming out of the bus stop with the drive-through penalty board. So the message is there, but goes to show these days how reliant drivers are upon technology. There's the black flag and the drive-through penalty board saying come in, but it goes to show that drivers tend to rely on what's being told to them on the radio, perhaps not looking really at flags or pit boards anymore. So, with the radio having gone down, Louis Machiels continues to be blissfully ignorant of all of this, but it may well be, depending on the attitude of the stewards, that there could be another penalty looming for having stayed out so long with that drive-through penalty instruction having been displayed on the timing screens. So it's not the team that are keeping him out, far from it. They want him in, they've wanted him in for many a lap now. Machiels about to lose out to Fred Makovici. Right. Look at this. Which part of the word in do you not understand? So, in this time. Each lap he gets another in, doesn't he, on the pit board. So, every time he goes by, another in is put there. Maybe they need more boards rather than more ins. Black flag to car 2 for not respecting time limit for drive-through penalty. There you go. So, a black flag now. Black flag exclusion. This is getting very serious. Is it black flag so they can report to the stewards? Is it black flag exclusion? This now is becoming a big problem, and a car that was comfortably leading its class potentially is about to leave the race. Machiels comes out of the pith path. Just wonder whether actually the race director has been made aware that they're doing their best to get him in. Could argue, well, it's not my problem. In fact, the normal regulation says that normally 3 laps is the number you've got to respond to one of the drive-through penalties with him. It's long since gone past the 3 laps. Now, there's the pit board, and I think they're going to have try. Yes, they've got more than one board now, so there are more and more boards being positioned in different places up and down the pit lane. But it's this black flag that is the concern now. Mackie's coming up towards the bus stop, and he's in. Thank heavens for that. But is it too late? That's the question now, because with that black flag having been issued, both physically and on the timing screen, is that the end? Let's see. Down the pit lane he comes. So this is effectively is Mackie's taking the drive-through penalty. So he's gone past the team, who will need, of course, to find another method of bringing him in at the end of this stint, because he's still got the same problem with communicating with the driver. Yeah, the board says car number 1, so there's an element of confusion potentially from Louis Mackie's when he saw that. Car 1, though, retired quite a long time ago, so again, you could argue if Mackie's were keeping abreast of things in the team, you'd know that that was being waved at him, not for a car that had been retired, but even so, it was a board for a different numbered car. But as I say, if the radio has gone down, then they need somehow to get the message to him at the end of the stint that he needs to come in, otherwise he's going to run out of fuel out on the circuit, isn't he? It's the next problem they've got to address, so I think we may have some more vigorous board waving toward the end of the 65-minute stint that he's got to do. Back into the race. So Mackie's, as a result of that, of course, now will have lost his 3rd place to Fred Makovici. But what else is there in the saga of car number 2? Number 50 you're looking at, Marco Ciocci, 11th. That was a car that led early on in the hands of Matt Griffin. And 2 Mackie's has rejoined by the look of it just ahead of 76, Dirk Werner. So Andrea Bertolini, having given the car over to Louis Mackie's, now somewhat frustrated, no doubt, in the pit lane. Let's hear from him, because Haley Coxon is there with him.
Andrea, a tense and frustrating time for you. How will you be interpreting the black flag?
It's horrible, really, because we push like a crazy also all the race, all the team. Now we receive black flag. I would like to speak also with the marshal, because we had a problem, a big problem with the radio system, but so we try, we do our drive-through, you know, it's not a sprint race, it's a 24-hour. I hope for something, because it will be really frustrating. We receive a black flag, we drive safe all the race, we drive really perfectly, just because we don't have a problem with the radio. So I hope somebody think about this and we'll see what is the last decision, because I don't know what is possible to do.
Will you keep pushing until you do get to speak to the officials?
Yeah, I would like to speak with the official, because I think everyone understands we have the problem of the radio communication. Everyone want to do the drive-through, because everyone put, but also the driver is really tired. No, I don't know what we do. I don't know, really.
Thank you.
Very frustrating situation this for the team, and as it comes across the timing line once again, black flag shown, so if the black flag is still there, the car is needed back in. It's not just therefore for the drive-through penalty. If it's still being shown the black flag, then they want it in the pit lane, and that does suggest that it's going to be excluded from further participation. But no doubt Vita 4-1, which is a team that understands the rule book very well, will be talking to the officials, trying to do something about keeping the car in the race. For the moment, they may as well just keep out there, and as Haley was suggesting to Andrea Bertolini, keep pushing until a definite answer is given. But there are furrowed brows I can see on the Vita 4-1 Pratt perch, and so that black flag being shown would suggest to me that it's exclusion. So we are having that confirmed now from the race director, so the car is going to be excluded from the race for not responding to the drive-through penalty in time. see the frustration on everybody's part, but they were doing their best to get the car in. But the other side of the coin is a rule is a rule. It didn't respond to the drive-through penalty notification within the allotted number of laps, and if you don't, then you are in trouble. So Louis Machiels, who is still soldiering on in 4th place, not responding to the black flag, didn't respond in time to the frantic efforts to bring him in with the pit boards, but black flag to car 2 for not respecting time limit for drive-through penalty, it says on the screen. And there is Mikael Bartels, who walks back to the pit bunker, and I suspect is not quite ready to talk about this to Haley just yet. Has a word with the mechanics, and of course he's going to want to know exactly what the problem is with the radio. Why have they had that problem? This therefore becomes the surviving Vita 4-1 Ferrari, and it's currently being driven in 6th place, soon to become 5th therefore, by Giacomo Petrovelli. It's the car that is shared with Matteo Bobbi and Frank Kechler, the young German driver. But Giacomo Petrovelli doing a good job here, the Venetian, and he's set to gain another place. But having said that he's doing a good job, you also have to bear in mind that he's being caught by this car, because now right up behind him is Felipe Albuquerque. So you've got a battle developing now, 6th and 7th on track, with the exclusion, as we understand it, of car number 2. He's going to be 5th and 6th. He's in this time, so here comes Louis Machiels, but this may well be the last time you see the car move. And he comes in, and that's it, say the officials. Stop. I think Louis Machiels is being told to go and see the race director, but blissfully unaware of what he's done wrong here. So go to the box means go to your pit bunker, the pit garage, and then go and see the race director. So does Beaubilet come into the pit lane? No, he doesn't. And Mike is right on his tail then, so Jean-Luc soldiers on for another lap, accelerates out of the bus stop. They go across the line almost nose to tail now, and the gap is just 0.4 of a second. And while all this is going on, I think now number 50 Ferrari is going to have to make its move, isn't it? Yes, Nicky Cadai, the Italian driver, dives up on the inside, moves his way through. So that's just going to interrupt the battle for the Pro-Am Cup lead for a moment or two, until he's got past Jean-Luc Beaubilet as well. And if Mike Jordan's on his toes here, he'll probably slot right in now behind Cadai and just follow him up the hill. So as soon as the black Ferrari makes its move, the Mercedes can go by as well. Jean-Luc Beaubilet defending the place. He doesn't need to, as I say, they're on different laps, but now Cadai goes to the inside and Mike Jordan tries to follow suit. Is he going to be able to do so? Got the lights on, flashing the headlights to say I'm coming through, and this effectively now for the lead of the class, and Mike Jordan goes through then to take over the lead of the Pro-Am Cup. Great effort this, and ahead of him a sideways Nicky Cadai pressing on in number 50, the AF Corsa car. So that is effectively in 10th place now with the exclusion of car 2. And rather nervous looking Joneses in the garage. But Pressy Spark getting quite excited about this now, as Mike Jordan has put the car into the lead of the class. There it is in replay. Let's go to the pit lane and let's join Haley.
David, you just actually watched your co-driver there. He's in the lead. Are you happy with the performance of the car, obviously?
The car's been absolutely brilliant. No troubles whatsoever so far, and we haven't had any serious rain, which has been the main thing. We're pretty happy at the moment.
It's quite an achievement you've had in the race so far as well.
Well, we've got another 6 hours to go, haven't we? But I've got to get in the car in a minute or two, so just make sure we try and keep it there.
Thank you.
So David Jones, great enthusiast, British GT champion a couple of years ago, and as he says, he'll take over from Mike Jordan. But yes, stay where you are, Haley. I think we need to hear from Mike at the end of this. Great effort. So the new Pro-Am Cup class leader, Mike Jordan, David Jones, Godfrey Jones. There's not much to choose between the Joneses. It's probably fair to say that Godfrey is just fractionally the quicker, but as I say, there's very little between them in terms of outright pace. And so now in 7th place overall, this car, Mike Jordan comes out of the bus stop over the timing line once again, and there's going to be another happy Jordan family member no doubt in the pit lane, because as I said earlier on, Andrew, his son, touring car race winner these days, is one of the refuelers on this car. He's got itchy feet. He said to me yesterday, I'd much rather be driving it than filling it with fuel, but the Joneses are a bit particular about who they let co-drive, and Mike Jordan is that man. They trust Mike. He helps them develop the cars, does a lot of the testing with them, and has done a superb job here with the car now leading the class. Into the pits has just come. There it is, in fact, number 20. Out gets Jean-Luc Bobelic. In gets Ludovic Padet. So now it's going to be, effectively, for the bulk of the next stint, Padet versus David Jones, and Ludovic should be quicker, but it's going to be quite an interesting fight, isn't it, as the pendulum swings back and forth between the Prezi Spark Mercedes and the Sofrev Ferrari 458 Italia. So Ludovic Padet gets in. Padet